Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com with Vinny Andre Newland under the table accompanying me. My name's Jason Newland. Oh, please only listen when you can safely close your eyes. This is Let Me Bore You to Sleep, and today is Trivia Tuesday. Still not working, is it? Trivia Tuesday. Ooh. So what I thought I would do is talk about a subject that I know a little bit about, a subject that is of interest to me, and for some reason it's becoming more interesting to me again. I think of, I don't know, I'm going through an existential midlife something. I'm going through the male menopause, I think that's what's happening. And I did a recording today. I did a hypnosis recording, and I enjoyed recording it, and I felt good after I'd recorded it. And I also got some feedback from Cara. Thank you, Cara, for your message. I won't read it out because you send it to me privately. Anything that's posted on the group or on Facebook, I will read out. But if it's sent privately, I won't read stuff out. So I felt like I'd actually done something worthwhile today, and it's a nice feeling. You know, I still believe that helping other people is the best thing that I can do. It may not be the best thing for everybody, but it is the best thing for me. Because, you know, I used to live, during my 20s, I lived a life of and during my kid years as well, selfishness, really. Just thinking about myself and what I can get, and, you know, I guess a lot of it was just surviving. Oh. Although, mind you, I did start to get into hypnosis. I started, 98, so NLP, and I was, but I was still aiming it at myself, really. How could I help myself? And I'd been reading self-help books and trying to sort of figure out my brain all the way through my 20s with Buddhism and Taoism and Zen and meditation, and, you know, from books. And then poetry and all that kind of stuff. And then I was reading books that were sort of self-help books, you could call them, philosophy. Then 97, summer, like end of the year, October time, I really started getting into self-help. I was also reading a lot of sales books during the 90s as well. I guess trying to build a version of me that is never going to exist, possibly. Maybe, I don't know. I like to think, see, I like it so much I said it twice. I like to think that out of every book or every audio that I've listened to, every lecture I've listened to or watched on YouTube or been in, seen in person, there's something. I've retained something useful from those different sources, educational sources. And even though in 97, 98, I think it was 98, I started doing the NLP course. It was at City University, one evening a week, and it was a year-long course. And I went to that. And because I was already reading books on hypnosis at this point. And I just remember the excitement that I lost. From those days, 98, 99, that extreme of like, wow, this stuff is just mind-blowing. And maybe it's just natural to have that initial excitement for something that's so new, yet it's always been around. I mean, if you want to see hypnosis in action, just watch any advert on television. But it's just kind of like, oh. And I kind of lost it a little bit along the way. And then I was still collecting hypnosis books. And in 2004, I started the pain relief service locally. And I was excited about that. And I was doing some hypnosis with people, friends, family. But I couldn't get any actual customers. Even though it was a free service, I couldn't get anyone. I put adverts in the paper and everything. And then I relaunched it again in 2006. So I probably did it 2004, and then I kind of just, because I ended up going back to work full time, focused on that. In 2006, I relaunched free pain relief, and it took off. But I still, even though I was doing hypnosis with people in person, I didn't have that excitement that I initially felt when I first learned about hypnosis. It wasn't there. I guess it was a different type of excitement, a different type of an accomplishment. And the people I saw that were I've talked about it before, I won't go into it, but I saw some quite very difficult cases that had nothing to do with chronic pain, really. It was more to do with medical problems and preparation for medical procedures, which I had no idea what I was doing, but I managed to do it anyway. And it was free, I wasn't charging. It's just I had friends recommending me to their friends. One lady who needed a double lung transplant, and she was terrified of going into the hospital to even get tested to see whether or not she was allowed to have the transplants. And they told her that if she didn't turn up this time, she'd be taken off the list. And she'd be booked in, I think, 2 or 3 times previously, and she just couldn't walk through the hospital doors. And after about, I think it was about 3.5 hours of me sitting in her living room, we broke through that. Whatever that barrier was, we broke through it. I think you just felt that anything's better than sitting in a room with me for any much longer, Any much longer? That's not even a sentence, is it? Well, wow, my words are muddled today. So I saw her on a Saturday. She went into hospital on the Monday or the Tuesday. And she walked in. She stayed in. And she had all the tests. And she was fine. And she got the go-ahead. And it was just like, I still today don't know what I did. I wore her down, I think. It really, what is he doing? It's really weird, right? I've got these mince pies. I don't normally eat mince pies, but at Christmas, I'll get a little pack of mince pies. Yeah, it's fair enough, isn't it? It's Christmas. Anyway, he won't eat the mince pie. Doesn't like it. But he wants the tin foil thing that the mince pie goes in, and he'll lick that clean. So he doesn't like the mince, but he likes the juice of the mince and the crumbs, which is what he's doing right now. And he leaves them flat on the floor. And I hoovered the other day, and it was a big deal for me to do housework. Another thing, I know my introductions are getting longer, aren't they? Don't worry, I will be coming to the trivia part in a minute. But I'm feeling quite good about myself because I bought a load of vegetables and like fresh food, apart from the chocolate. Okay. Got to give myself a little bit of sweetness, but generally it was all fresh, loads of vegetables and everything. So when I eat a meal, it is like healthy, like 100% healthy, other than maybe it's not organic. That's the only thing that's not healthy about it, maybe, But it's all vegetables, all fresh veg, and chicken breasts. Bearing in mind I'm pretty much a vegetarian, so it's a bit weird to eat meat, but just, anyway. So in 3 days I've had in 3 days I've had 3 meals. I've cooked twice and I've had 3 meals. So, like, fresh. I mean, okay, the second one was cold. The one tonight is going to be, I'm going to heat up the veg. I wish I had a frying pan. What I'm thinking of doing is trying to, all the veg, because mashed potato, all, mixed with veg, is, I'm thinking I'm going to try and put it into a kind of a flat thingy. I don't know what you call it, and then grill it. And then just add the cold chicken, because I don't want to heat the chicken up. I'll just have it cold. It's been in the fridge all night. It's just I never know how hot to get the chicken to make it the chicken. I don't know why I'm saying chicken like that. But I'll just have it cold, and this is the first step for me to be able to have one healthy meal a day. Is a real big step. Might sound weird, but I've been living on breakfast cereal for ages, and then maybe takeouts or sausages, or just stuff that maybe isn't perfectly healthy. But now I'm kind of trying to turn things around a little bit, and I think it is having a little bit of a beneficial benefit. Yeah, I think so. And also, Vinny likes eating it as well. So chicken and veg, he loves that. So basically, I can, in a way, I don't even need to buy him any food anymore because he won't eat his own food. He wants to eat my food. La 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 la. So yeah, it's I'd like, what I was trying to say is I'd like to get back to that excitement that I had in 1998, but then I'm probably never going to get, you know, I've been super excited about different things during my life. One, I mean, I was quite excited about astronomy. I know I joke about it, like sometimes I didn't actually like it, but I kind of did. But I didn't understand a lot of what I was reading. But I enjoyed reading stuff that I didn't understand. It's very, I can't quite understand, I can't explain it really. And I got really, really super interested in supernatural stuff, like vampires and werewolves and all that stuff, when I was about 11, 12, 13, I don't know. It's like it lasted a while. And the next thing I was super excited about was martial arts. And then as I was coming to leave school, the last year of school, I became really interested in boxing. I was still doing the martial arts, but boxing became like a big thing that I looked forward to watching on telly. And that never really left after that. And then I became really fanatical about starting my own business. This is like not 86, 87, 88. I tried a few different things. I never told you this, have I? I tried to sell perfume, jewellery. I basically got the Exchange and Mart and all just got them to send me all these free packs that I could sell from. And yeah, loads of stuff. Yeah, didn't really, none of it really worked. And plus, I wasn't sure what I was doing. The intention, the motivation was there, but the actual the business, the mind wasn't there. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I think also because I didn't really have any money coming in, hardly at all, so that was harder to really sort of to do it. But the next thing I got obsessed with was, it's weird actually because this is like 89. I got obsessed with, not obsessed, but I started to love watching comedy videos. You know, like stand-up comedy. Richard Pryor, Steve Martin, Bill Cosby, Jerry Sadovich, Billy Connolly, just Jasper Carrot, Eddie Murphy. If I've done a shot, I mentioned Eddie Murphy. Yeah, all those. So I kind of had quite a few of those videos that I collected during '89. And then I started writing my diary, started writing journals. So I suppose I got a bit obsessed with that. And then that carried on all the way through my 90s, during my 20s. And how good will that be if one day I'm saying, yeah, I did that all through my 90s, and then like the last 10 years during my hundreds, I did, wow, won't that be good? I think that's what I realised, that I like being alive. I do. I think I want to live for a long, long time, but just differently. The idea of regeneration of body parts and all the different things that are kind of starting to happen and starting to be trialed upon. Trials are starting on a new thing which stops the body degenerating like at a fast rate, so when people get ill and stuff. So trials have started. So it was actually literally on the news today. And it was two ladies that were twin sisters. I preferred the one on the right. Oh, it's so sexist. You're sexist. And I thought, wow. They don't look exactly the same. No, I thought, this is amazing. And it was created by AI. So AI did the research. And what it does is it just allows, in this situation, it allows... Because the thing with AI, I'm going to finish the sentence in a minute. It never stops. It can go on for 24 hours a day, and it can do thousands of calculations a second, which a human can't. And it can have all these different tasks being done at the same time. And, for those that know what they're doing, I don't, but those that know how to do all that stuff, you could go home at the weekend on a Friday evening, come back on a Monday morning, and during that period, the computer system, if it's like a really powerful computer system, like a quantum computer or something like that, it might have done like hundreds, if not thousands of years worth of research in that weekend. The equivalent of, So you might have 100 researchers spending 1,000 years, and it might do all that in a weekend. As an example. I find that stuff very exciting. So, hypnosis. Ooh, what's the next thing I got excited about? Oh yeah, stand-up comedy. Got super excited about that in 1990. Then, Buddhism. Got really into Buddhism about 93. But I was still doing a stand-up as well. But I was kind of split really with... I don't know, something about Buddhism that just grabbed me. And then, which is weird because there was a Buddhist centre not far from where I lived, and I never knew because there was no internet then. And I didn't even think about looking up Buddhist centre in the Yellow Pages. Didn't even cross my mind. It's weird. But then I didn't know that when I first lived in London, I didn't know that comedy clubs existed. It's only when I researched and realised that there were comedy clubs in London. I didn't know there was comedy clubs anywhere. Back then, they weren't everywhere. There probably were comedy clubs in different cities, but they weren't prevalent the way that perhaps they have been over the last 20 or 30 years, or 20 years. Then in 2000, I got completely obsessed with building websites. And then I started doing the sales. I think I got a bit obsessed with doing the sales, actually, because I used to go in early and do extra overtime without getting paid overtime, because I wanted to be the best. And so I got a little bit... Well, I had nothing else going on, really, to be fair. I moved away from London. I didn't have it was just... It was a weird time. But I was still collecting the hypnosis books, none of which I've got anymore. Still travelling up to London, once every 2 months, once a month, 2 months, and visiting a comedy club and stuff. In 2003, I got really into Buddhism again. But this time I was around Buddhists, going to a Buddhist centre. But I was still interested in the hypnosis and all that stuff. And then 2006, whoosh, this thing that I'm doing now started. So I think there's probably a difference between that initial excitement of something that I had no intention of ever doing. I was absolutely obsessed with vampires when I was 11, but I was not going to be biting anyone. I had no intention of getting myself a cape and hanging upside down. I wasn't planning to do that stuff. In the same way, in '98, January, when I bought my first 2 books, one was blue cover and one was a green cover, and just introduction books. I had no interest in actually doing hypnosis with people. Didn't want to do it. Didn't really, I don't think I thought about it, I played with the idea, I pondered it, but no. So then, even when I was doing the counselling degree, my main focus was still this, which is kind of weird, isn't it, really? That I'd have thought that would have been my main aim, but it wasn't. This was. And nothing else has really taken its place. Maybe that's what I need. I need something new. I need a new hobby. But this isn't a hobby to me, but maybe Lego. Maybe Lego should be the one. I don't know. Anyway, hypnosis. The word, you might know some of this stuff. Some of it's not going to be particularly super interesting. But I'll read it out anyway. Factual. People. Okay, here we go. Hypnosis. The word hypnosis comes from the Greek word hypnos, meaning sleep. Although hypnosis is not sleep, but it can lead to sleep. That's the thing. When people say, hypnosis is not sleep, someone falls asleep, it's got nothing to do with hypnosis. Well, that's not true. Sorry. Hypnosis can lead to sleep. Otherwise, there'd be no hypnosis for sleeping, would there? You know what I mean? It's like, if something leads you to sleep, and also, I believe, if you're listening to something when you're unconscious or you've got your eyes closed and you're asleep, you're still taking it in. Maybe, I don't know how much is being taken in, but we're still listening, aren't we? And that's why that's why hypnosis can be a good thing to listen to. Because hypnosis in itself is just a very positive thing. Hypnosis is recognized by major medical and psychological organizations as a real psychological state. That's nice of them. People under hypnosis remain aware and conscious. Sometimes, not always. I've been in a trance where I didn't know where I was, and I drifted right off. So, see, some of these things, the reason why hypnotists or hypnotherapists are told to say this to clients, on the first kind of introduction, just let you know you'll always remain aware and conscious, that's to eliminate any idea that the person, I don't know, so they feel safe. Because they might be in a room with a complete stranger that they've never met before, which would be a complete stranger, wouldn't it? It's kind of just saying the same sentence twice, but the idea that someone under hypnosis will definitely remain aware and conscious it's not true. It might be true for some people, but how can you drift and be aware at the same time? Because the idea of drifting is you become aware that you're drifting, then you're aware again. But during the drifting, until you're aware that you're drifting, you're not aware. You see what I mean? So I try and be a little bit careful with some of these ideas. And there's Jonathan Royal, who I actually did some training with him. He did say that, people come along with misconceptions sometimes, and the idea that whatever, that they can't, only a certain amount of percentage of the population can be hypnotized and all that stuff. Now, if someone believes that they can be hypnotized, why break that by saying, oh, by the way, not everybody perhaps can be, and or sort of just go along with how they feel, which is what Milton Erickson would say. Go along with their awareness, their how they see things. Hypnosis involves focus, attention, and reduced awareness of distractions. It can. So there's almost a contradiction when I say, because you have to be aware to have focused attention. But do you? Because awareness isn't just necessarily being aware of how your right knee feels and the intricate movements of your knee, perhaps as you just slightly move it from side to side, perhaps clenching the muscles a little bit and noticing your thigh muscles that you weren't noticing before, and maybe your calf muscles. And when you do, it feels like your calf muscles are huge, like really muscular. And your thigh muscles, the bottom thighs, just feel so smooth but solid. And as you focus on your knee, it's giving you that attention, your focused attention. But how long can you focus on just one part of your body without drifting off is a question I would have to ask. And I might focus, I might say, yeah, and move into your left elbow. So I moved to my left elbow, my shoulders became more relaxed. No reason for that, other than maybe by focusing on my right knee, I was finding that a bit tense because I was putting so much mental effort into focusing that perhaps I wasn't really relaxing as much as I could have been. So that this, we're all different, and there's so much going on in somebody's body, in your mind, and I mean, technically, if you were sitting in front of me, I suppose in reality, it would be possibly 1,000 times easier, in a sense of, because I want to know every single thought and feeling, and just to try and not get into your brain, but to try and understand your experience. And then I suppose it's a little bit like, do you know when people have, I think singers, when they have these ear pod things, they actually put an earwax thing in to sort of get the shape of the ear, and then they make them just personally for each person. And it's hard to do that in a hypnotic format, not an ear mold, but a hypnosis session that's going to suit everybody. So it's quite important, or I say it's important, it's pretty much, you kind of have to really be, to a degree, broad and vague when making a recording as an audio online for everyone to listen to, because it's weird. I remember there was once, I did this hypnosis session with somebody, and I got them to walk into the sea, but just paddling, just like in the shallow end, and they came out because they're scared of the sea. And I thought, so it's impossible to, to avoid every single potential, issue that someone might have, because there's millions and it's billions, 7 billion people out there, and some of them are listening to my recordings. Ironically, this morning, I don't know if it's ironic, but there was, I think this morning, ITV, 10:30, and they were talking about sleep problems. People were having problems going to sleep, and apparently 1 in 7 people have insomnia, and this sleep expert was giving advice, unless she's a doctor, I don't know. She smiled a lot, but I don't know. I don't know who she was, because I don't normally watch the TV show. And I it's weird. I just thought, why don't someone mention me? A bit egotistical, isn't it? But I thought, surely somebody, bearing in mind, I've reached a fair few people over the years, somebody might just call up and say, there's this weird man from England. He's, I suppose they're going to say England because it's an English TV show, but what it was is the only people they put on there was people that were not moaning, but talking about how bad it's been for them, how many years have gone without having any sleep. There was no, they were given advice, go on to Spotify maybe, and you could find some hypnosis recordings and stuff. So, which is good advice. Insomnia sessions. The thing is, I wanted to phone up and say, hi. Oh, what's my computer doing? Hi, my name's Jason. I do relaxation sessions to help people go to sleep. But I don't know if they'd allow me to do that, whether or not, It's a free service, but I don't know if they'd... Because you imagine if I was able to tell my website on national TV at 10:30 in the morning, where there's probably a good few million people watching, I might get an extra 5 or 10 listeners. Yeah. It's possible. It's possible. That's why I like to think, anything's possible except those that aren't. So what am I doing? All right. So what's the next one? Hypnosis. The term hypnosis was introduced by James Braid in 1840s. Okay. Hypnosis has been used clinically for over 200 years. And it was used before that. It just wasn't called hypnosis. Brain imaging studies show measurable changes in brain activity during hypnosis. And hypnosis does not, I think that's interesting actually, hypnosis does not cause loss of control. Subjects cannot be forced to do things against their will. And why would they be? I mean, if you go... Okay, let's forget going to see someone in person. If you listen to a recording and it's for, like I did one today, let go of the past. It's a relaxing hypnosis session. It's about 22 minutes long. It's very thorough, quite deep and thorough. And very clean. Not clean as in no dirty words. No, I swear all the way through it, but it's... I don't. Effing and jeffing. But it's... why would someone listen to... It'd be weird, wouldn't it? So get rid of your anger and then listen and go, I like being angry. I want to keep my anger. It needs me going, I need to just drop that anchor into the sea. I don't like the sea. Don't like the sea. Stop mentioning the sea. Yeah, anyway. Another one, man. I remember I thought, he had a thing about rainforests, this person. I thought, okay, I'll incorporate that into a hypnosis session. So I said, if you do a hypnosis session and it's in a rainforest, don't mention crocodiles. Because who would have thought that would have been one of his things? And I thought, okay, a tiger running towards him, that would be relaxing. Apparently not. Sorry, I'm just amusing myself. Hypnosis does not cause loss of control. I mean, really, it's not about that, is it? It's about... Hypnosis is about giving you more control, not taking away your control. It's the opposite. And forcing someone to do something, it's natural to go against that anyway. Even if someone tells you, if they say it in a horrible way, to do something, even if you want to do it, it's natural to sort of say no, because most people don't like being told what to do. Like, not in an aggressive way. Take this £1,000 now. No, I don't want to take the £1,000. It's yours. I'm giving it to you for free. Take it now. No, I'm not going to take it. Maybe that's not a good example. Okie doke. So, hypnosis is used in pain management, including dentistry and surgery. It can be. Generally, probably not. But it has been. I mean, I know a hypnotherapist who hypnotized himself whilst having his leg amputated. I know this person. Well, I haven't seen him for about over 10 years, but I know him. Like, I used to know him, used to work with him. And he didn't amputate. He literally stayed awake. He had local anaesthetic. And he hypnotised himself. Which is... I don't think there's an amount of money you could pay me to do that. You could argue, yeah, but your leg doesn't need amputating. Okay, no, if it did though, regardless of my respect for hypnosis, and no, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I know some people, I think there's some people that are allergic to anaesthetic, so it would be a case of they'd kind of have no choice. But yeah, I mean, I have hypnotised myself during a dentist thing and during blood tests, because I used to be didn't used to really enjoy blood tests. Now I don't care, but I do look away. So I guess I care a little bit, but I look away. And when I've had... I'm trying to think, yeah. With a tooth, when I had my tooth removed, I was so relieved to have it removed. I would have done it without anaesthetic. I'm glad I didn't. Obviously, that would have been agony, but it was to the point where it had to come out because it was awful. And I didn't care what happened as long as they got it out of my mouth. And they could yank as much as they wanted, and it's fine. And they kept saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm absolutely fine." And I was just counting down in my head. And I had, local anaesthetics, so it was pretty much numb. I felt a little bit queasy afterwards, but other than that, I was fine. It probably just I lost a bit of blood, but it's like... It was, and it's also a shock to the system, isn't it, when you lose a part of your body? But so I did a little bit of like hypnosis. I guess just relaxing my jaw, relaxing my mind, really. Relaxing my neck, relaxing myself so I yawn. Hypnosis. There was quite a famous book in the hypnosis world where, and I don't know if it is George Esdale, I forget now, was it Braid, who went to India and did hundreds of operations without anaesthetic because they'd run out of anaesthetic. and he did it using hypnosis. And he came back and he wrote a book on it. And a lot of it was really serious operations. So this next one, some hospitals use hypnosis as an adjunct to anesthesia. Yeah, I don't know any ones that do, but some do. I think there's some hospices have hypnotherapists going in. Some hospitals, I mean, it's just a case of finding one. I think you're probably more likely to have that in America, because you have to be an actual doctor to do hypnosis in America. I might be wrong, but you need to be registered and everything. In the UK, anybody can do hypnosis, which is lucky because I'm not a doctor. Hypnosis is used in pain management, including dentistry and surgery. I've already said that, haven't I? So hypnosis has been used to reduce chronic pain conditions. Well, I've been focusing on that for 19 years. Not just that, but that is something that's been a very big thing on, in my mind. It's the very first thing that I thought about when I learnt hypnosis. That was like, oh, pain relief. Ooh. And it really grabbed my attention for that. And I've made loads of chronic pain hypnosis sessions over the years, and as well as seeing a bunch of people during 2006 who had chronic pain conditions such as arthritis, phantom limb pain, back pain, neck pain, skeletal pain, foot pain, hand pain, shoulder, head, mouth, it's just the whole body really. And I kind of came to the conclusion at the time that the simplest way to reduce chronic pain is relaxation. Because that's one thing that people perhaps don't have much of, is relaxation. Who are, I suppose it makes sense, doesn't it? If someone's in pain, they're kind of uptight and it's frustrating. But once you relax, thanks Vinny, flappy ears, it's really weird. It's only 5:45 and it seems like 9 o'clock out there. It's pitch black out the living room window because there's no lights out there. That's just, I don't know why I'm surprised. Because literally, sometimes I'll kind of listen to some music and just have a little drowse, have a little nap, afternoon nap. And I look out the window and I think, oh, it must be 8 o'clock. And I look and it's like 10 to 5 or something. So what's going on? I also realised that if someone's got, let's say, chronic pain in their, I don't know, right leg or whatever, don't focus on the leg. Focus on relaxing other parts of the body. first. If it's a very basic session, focus on relaxing their eyes, or them noticing relaxing your eyes, or relaxing your forehead, or just doing a body scan where you notice how your forehead feels, but you're not trying to relax it, you're just aware of it. And your eyes and your jaw, your tongue, your throat, the back of your neck, your shoulders, all that stuff. And it's almost like that sense of relaxation starts to drift down into the part of the body that you were listening to the recording for originally. Let's say, for example, the right leg. It starts to change how the person feels. So it's been used to reduce chronic pain conditions. It was, so hypnosis is, I know there's going to be more talked about this later, but hypnosis was used in surgery and dentistry originally, before ether was discovered. So ether was, I think, the first anesthetic outside of probably alcohol. I think some people just got drunk, didn't they? And which makes sense. But ether was the first, as far as I'm aware, the first safe anesthetic. And the hypnosis took too long. They realised, why spend half an hour or an hour with someone when you can just stick this thing over their face and they're gone? I think that's what ether is, isn't it? It's the one you stick over their face. I don't know, like that liquid or whatever. So yeah, hypnosis kind of took a step sideways because it wasn't needed, because it wasn't easy enough to do or quick enough to do. Don't need to learn anything if you're going to use ether. Just make sure you get the right amount, I suppose. What's this? Hypnosis can reduce anxiety and stress in clinical settings. Yep. That's what I've been pretty much focusing on as well the last 19 years. One of the reasons I don't focus on breathing very much when I do a hypnosis relaxation session, in case you're wondering, is, I do sometimes, but generally, blimey, I'm making a lot of noise here. Generally, I don't, because when I was going through my period of anxiety, I still get stuff, but when it was at its worst, the last thing I wanted to do was focus on my breathing. Now, I've never read one book that said that, that's mentioned that actually focusing on my breathing was not the thing I wanted. I wanted to be focused on something else. And then the breathing slows down naturally instead of taking a deep breath. And I guess it's personal for everyone, but I didn't like that taking 3 breaths. And I still do recordings with that in sometimes, but generally I'd like to do stuff without breathing techniques. I'm not saying there's no place for it, because obviously I'm the odd one out with this. Yoga and all this stuff is breathing, isn't it? Well, it's not just breathing, but tantric breathing. Not for me. It's just not for me. It's not not for me. Hypnosis is commonly used to help with insomnia. Ooh. Isn't it weird though? So let's go back to the first one. I just saw. Oh, okay. People under hypnosis remain aware and conscious. Hypnosis is commonly used to help with insomnia. So, hypnosis is not sleep. Hypnosis is commonly used to help with insomnia. So, you see what I mean? It's almost... So it says that hypnosis is not sleep. You remain aware and conscious. Hypnosis is commonly used with insomnia. So, I mean, you can do obviously a hypnosis session where you're talking about how you're going to feel later on. So you might be in a hypnotherapist's room and they'll be talking to you about how you're going to feel when you're laying down in your bed, when, you know, in the evening, and maybe set up an anchor where you perhaps push your finger and thumb together, and whenever you do that and say the word sleep, your whole body will just relax naturally as you count down from 20 down to 1. And your breathing automatically just starts to slow down, as does your mind. And so you can kind of plan ahead. So there is that. That could be included in a relaxation audio session. So yeah. Not everyone responds to hypnosis in the same way. It's the same with everything though, isn't it? See, this is... I never really I've seen the studies for this. So it says roughly 10 to 15% of people are highly hypnotizable. Normally suggestible is the word they use, and about 10 to 20% of people show low hypnotic responsiveness. And most people fall somewhere in the middle range for hypnotizability. I don't think it's really, unless you do a survey with millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people, how are you really going to get, you do a test with 100 people or 50 people, 200 people even. It doesn't give an average, I don't think. I don't think it gives a good... Because it depends, doesn't it? It depends on so many different factors. Also, if someone reads this stuff and believes it, then they might think, oh, okay, well, what if I fall in that group? Or what if I fall in that group? If they believe they're in the 10 to 15% of highly hypnotizable, that's going to be a positive thing, because what someone believes, well, our belief system are hugely powerful, aren't they? Hypnotizability is relatively stable over time. Again, I don't know quite how they come up with that. How far ahead do they do tests with people? They go back every 10 years? I don't know. Children tend to be more responsive to hypnosis than adults, which is true. I mean, it's just the daydreaming, the attention. It's much more. Hypnosis is... I'm not saying it's easier. I've never hypnotized hypnotized. I've never hypnotized a child ever, but I've read about it, and I've seen videos of it, and it's not the same as hypnotizing an adult, because probably the best way to do it is when the child is focused on something, playing a game or whatever. Because it's like counselling. Children, like little children, don't want to sit in a chair for 50 minutes and talk. In fact, it's probably almost impossible for them to do that, a lot of children. Because they want to be busy, they want to do something interesting. And talking to an adult is not going to be very interesting. So, by getting them to focus on a toy they're playing with, I suppose the hypnotherapist could then hypnotize them and give them suggestions and just, to maybe change some habit that's causing them problems. Children, okay. Hypnosis does not involve mind control. Hypnosis individuals can hear, think, and reason. Oh, I don't know about that really. I'm not sure how much I can do that when I'm not hypnotized. I mean, I can hear stuff, but thinking and reason, I don't know. There's times when my reasoning is not very good. I mean, the thing is, if you're in trance and you're drifting and it's difficult to hold on to any particular thought, then where's the reason there? Where's the thinking? And maybe you can hear, but maybe not consciously. I've had hypnosis in the past where I couldn't tell you a single thing that was said. Other than the very beginning and the end. And half an hour had gone and I don't know what was said. So the idea that we can, I know why it's said. It's for people to feel safe. So that's one of the benefits of listening to an audio recording, because you can listen back to it. It's not like someone said it to you once and then you're at home thinking, what did they say? You can always listen back to an audio recording. That is a benefit. And that's part of the reason why I used to put my recordings onto my website, so that the people could listen back. Because I'd record them in the session, they could listen back to them. Hypnosis can increase responsiveness to suggestions, not obedience. Well, again, there's a theory that some of the best people to be hypnotized, adults that is, are people that have been or are currently in the forces, because they're used to responding to orders and they're a lot easier to hypnotize, according to research I've seen. But it's saying here, not obedience. So there's maybe it's obedience to start with, and then leads into hypnosis. Or maybe it's a mixture of both. I mean, just because someone's in a hypnotic trance doesn't mean that their personality's not there. They're still going to be probably obedient if that's something that's been installed into them over years. I mean, some people that have been in the army for 5, 6, 7 years, that a lot of the stuff that's been installed is going to stay within them forever, unless they purposely uninstall it, because it's powerful stuff. The training and everything. Hypnosis has been studied using EEG and MRI scanning. Yep. So you can see the different parts of the brain being activated. Hypnosis can alter perceptions of pain, sound, and sensation. I would say that's one of the best parts of hypnosis. That, really changing, altering the perception of sensation. Is that, or all the rest, same pain, sound, feeling, it's just sensation. So the physical discomfort is a sensation. And by changing that, you can do it directly, indirectly, by distraction, on purpose. You can use, different feelings, coolness, heat, imagining this, there's so many different ways. And you could even imagine someone that's fully healthy, that has no physical pain, and imagine walking into their body. Or imagine going back in time and stepping inside your earlier body. Or maybe, I haven't done this for a while, but I used to like doing stuff like, imagine you're walking into a magical mirror. So just step into the magical mirror, turn around so you're facing out from the mirror, and when you're ready, what you're going to do is enjoy the comfort of being in that magical mirror. And when you step out, you're going to leave that physical discomfort in the mirror. It won't leave with you. You'll step out, and anything that isn't comfortable, calm, or relaxing will stay in that mirror as you step out. So then count down 1, 5, 3, 2, 1. When you're ready to step out and leave all the discomfort in the mirror, and step out with only calm, relaxation, peace, feelings of comfort, step out. So just little things like that can have an effect, and sometimes adding them on top of each other. Hypnosis has been used to treat irritable bowel syndrome. Yeah. There's a lot of different things. What's going on? I keep banging the microphone. I do apologise. I think this might be a question for Q&A Friday. It's just come up. It might be. Okay, I'll look at it later. I ain't got time now. Sometimes this laptop just seems to do its own thing. Clinical hypnosis is different from stage hypnosis. Yep. So I know about stage hypnosis, and I it is different. It's different. I'll just leave it at that. It's different. Basically, with stage hypnosis, anyone that gets on the stage wants to be on the stage. And anybody that doesn't want to be on a stage will be removed from the stage. And then they've got to just... so when they do tests with stage hypnosis, they get people in the audience to hold their hand up or hold their hands together and say, you can't remove... they're clasped together and you can't get them apart and whatever. And they do a few of those, and whoever has the best success, they invite those on stage. And then they do some more tests. And so you've got the people that want to be on stage, but not everybody that wants to be on stage is willing to participate or is hypnotizable enough to perform in public. And then they whittle it down to the most ideal people. Those that want to be on stage, those that are willing to do anything and are just happy to go along and are very suggestible. Yeah. And clinical hypnosis, just hypnotherapy. It's in a room, in a chair or whatever, and it's helping with something, like a condition, an issue, stuff like that. Stage hypnosis focuses on entertainment, not therapy. Yep. Although a lot of stage hypnotists will promote their therapy consultation company or whatever. So if you enjoyed tonight, I can help you to stop smoking. And they'll give out, cards and business cards, or visit my website, jasonblablabla.com. Hypnosis does not erase memories. I don't know. I don't know about that. You can use hypnosis specifically to erase memories. It's kind of weird that they said that. There are techniques that help, maybe not erase the memory, but change the memory so that it doesn't have the same powerful negative connotation or effect, emotional effect, that it had before. And that can be done using hypnosis. So it doesn't necessarily change the thing, but you're probably less likely to think about it the way maybe you had before. I like to think that all the positive things happen just by listening to my voice. And I realise it's probably a bit weird for me to think that. But I like that idea that whether or not I'm doing hypnosis or whether or not I'm just talking about the weather or about Vinny, then a lot of this stuff can just, the problems and the issues and all that stuff from the past and worries and concerns can just slowly start to melt, bit by bit, over time. Hypnosis can distort time perception. Yes, it can, but lots of things can, can't they? Just watch. If you're having the time of your life and you're on a date, the time's going to go quick. If you're both really enjoying yourselves, or you're watching a movie that you're really loving, time goes fast. But if you're doing something you absolutely really don't enjoy, and you're waiting to go home, and you're staring at the clock, time will go very slow. Or sometimes time feels like it's going very slow, and you can see And if you've got an old-fashioned clock, you can see the second hand just ticking. Tick, 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 tick. It might not say tick, tick, but just going around. And half an hour can seem like hours. Or if you're looking forward to doing something, the clock can go really slow. But if you're really not looking forward to something and you want time to go really slow, I wonder what it'll do. Yep, it'll go fast. So time distortion happens naturally, but it's about perception, isn't it? So sometimes people, they'll be in hypnosis trance, they'll come out of it, and you could say to them, "Oh, how long do you think you was listening to me with your eyes closed?" And they might say, "Oh, 10 minutes." And you say, "No, it was 11 minutes. Ah, time distortion. Ooh. Okay. Maybe it might have been half an hour and they really think it's been only like 10 minutes. So, yeah, time distortion is natural, but it definitely can happen in hypnosis. Hypnosis may increase imagery vividness. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I haven't really much more to say about that, but it can, I guess, not only if you're like a very visual person, but it can make some stuff very sharp. Hypnosis has been used as early as the 18th century in medicine. Yep. Frank Mesmer influenced early hypnotic practices though his theories were incorrect. Well, Mesmer thought it was animal magnetism. He thought basically I think he came to believe that he was the one that was healing people through magnetism from him into people, and they used these rods, and people would hold on to the rods, and they'd hold on to his rod, and they would recover. And a group of people got together. I'm not really doing him justice, but a group of people, including Benjamin Franklin, got together and poo-pooed him. And it was pretty much chased out of Vienna or wherever he was living. And they said, it's just all in the mind. It's just, I guess, what people believe, which, yeah, I suppose, yeah. But it put it back. And that's why mesmerism wasn't used anymore after that, because it was classed as I don't know, what is it? Snake oil or whatever. But Mesmer's work led to the concept of mesmerism. Hypnosis is not sleepwalking. There's a kind of a similarity, isn't there? Someone's dreaming, which is our imagination when we're dreaming, and if that imagination is so vivid that the person actually starts acting it out and doing it, then you could say maybe the person's hypnotized himself, or they're so susceptible to hypnosis that they're hypnotizing themselves in their own dreams. But I don't know. What do I know? Just an idea. Hypnotized people can wake themselves at any time. See, that's another thing that hypnotherapists will tell someone. as a safety thing. If you listen to a recording that I do, it's going to last maybe an hour, and you fall asleep, then you're going to need to set an alarm, possibly. If you want to wake up, say if I've got a 10-hour recording, and I've made it 10 hours, let's say the recording lasts for an hour, and then you got the additional stuff added on. So if you want to end an hour, you may need to set an alarm. But the idea that you can wake themselves at any time, if once someone starts drifting, then possibly not. But at the same time, if someone starts clapping, or if they've got a dog and the dog starts barking, it's probably going to be quite disruptive. Although I did do a session with someone, and there was an air show outside and all these jets going past. I could hardly hear my own voice, and the lady or the man, I can't remember, didn't even flinch, didn't even hear it. Heard me, but didn't hear it. Didn't hear all the jets. Jet. Ooh. Hypnosis can be self-induced. Yep, self-hypnosis. Self-hypnosis is frequently used in sports psychology. Yep, that makes sense. I mean, being positive, thinking positively is huge in sports psychology. I mean, it's a relatively new thing, really. Hypnosis is sometimes used in smoking cessation programs. I'd say quite often used, actually. I don't know about sometimes, but maybe just sometimes, but it's quite a big thing. It's one of the things hypnosis is most known for, really, isn't it? Stopping smoking. Results of hypnosis depend on expectations and motivation. It's hard to argue with that. It's hard, yeah. It doesn't wholly depend on that. But it can. If you go into a hypnosis session expecting to feel completely relaxed, expecting to finish the session feeling refreshed, if that's what you expect, then you're more likely to experience that. It's just standard stuff, isn't it? It's almost like I played around with these ideas, and I used to go into a petrol station, and there was someone there that I just never seemed to get on with. They always seemed to be rude to me. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to assume that this person will be friendly to me. And they were. But I rehearsed it in my brain all the way through leaving my home to the petrol station. They're going to be friendly to me. They're going to be friendly to me. And, I mean, in reality, I probably changed the way that I was projecting myself onto them, the way I was talking, maybe my tone of voice, my facial expressions, that I wasn't aware of. And also I was receiving them through a different filter, through less judgment, more acceptance, I'm guessing. So yeah, things like that. It's quite powerful. All goes back to talking about sports psychology again. You know, someone expects to be successful, expects to win the game, expects to come out on top. You know, there's more likelihood that it's going to happen if that's what they expect. It's that whole thing of you get someone to walk on a plank of wood on the ground, holding a tray, or just a plank of wood on the ground, and then get them to say to themselves, this is easy, this is easy, this is easy, and have the plank of wood like really long, maybe 100 foot, something like that. This is easy, this is easy, this is easy, this is easy. And then get someone say, I'm going to fall off the wood, I'm going to fall, this is hard, this is hard. And the person that's negative is more likely to fall off the wood, even though it's just a plank of wood, a big long plank of wood. They're more likely just to topple off because of that negativity. And also, as what do they call it, that thing where they test the muscle strengthness. So if someone's saying something negative, I forget the name of it, but I always quite like that. So you can ask someone a question, and if they're lying, quite often they will be weaker than if they're telling the truth. So they'll be pushing down on your hand, and if you say someone push down your hand but at the same time say something negative, it'll be weaker than if they was to say something really positive and confirming, or very, positive. I'm trying to think of another word. And it can make them feel stronger in their muscles without even meaning to. Hypnosis can reduce procedural anxiety and medical treatments. So, yeah. Again, it's kind of expectation. If you expect something to be difficult, it's more likely to be difficult or uncomfortable. But if you expect it to be easy and comfortable, it's more likely to be more comfortable. And that's what you're more likely to notice, is what you expect. But that's just basic psychology, I guess, isn't it? I helped a couple of people with that in one-on-one. One was the lady that had to have the lung thing, another lady that had to have another different medical procedure, and she had to go in hospital. Same situation, really. And so that helped. Also, her recovery was much quicker than it normally would be as well. Hypnosis is recognised by the British Medical Association. It's recognised, but anyone can be a hypnotherapist. Hypnosis is recognised by the American Psychological Association. Hypnosis does not involve unconsciousness. See, I use the word unconscious. Some people use the word self-conscious. Not self-conscious. Oh my goodness, the word's just gone out of my head. And I don't even use the word, that's probably why. Subconscious. Self-conscious, wow. I use unconscious. Not in the sense that it's asleep, the person's asleep, just the unconscious mind. Because you got, it's various different models that you can go by. There's the conscious mind, things that we're aware of now. The subconscious mind, the things we can get hold of if we need to. Like, where did I leave my keys? Did I turn the light off in the bathroom before I left for work? What did I have for dinner at the weekend, last weekend? When is the boxing on? Things like that. Subconscious. Unconscious mind is the deeper stuff. It that's the model that I like. It's the deeper stuff. It's the stuff that perhaps we can't gain access to normally without a bit of effort. I guess it's like going into the basement of a librarian, the vaults, and you need to access the vaults and get almost, not permission, but you need to kind of, gain access. And then you've got everything available, potentially. So I use the unconscious. Some people use the subconscious. Some people, it's Freud, Jung, psychology, psychotherapy. It just depends on the person. But I use unconscious. Conscious, unconscious. Conscious is what you're aware of now. Unconscious is what you're not aware of now. That's how I see it. I just find it easier. Hypnosis, let's have a look. Hypnosis may reduce blood pressure during stress. Yeah, I think it would naturally do anyway. Any kind of relaxation, I'm not a doctor, but I'm guessing any type of deep relaxation would reduce blood pressure. It will reduce your pulse rate, maybe not dramatically, but slightly at least. It will reduce, those things. Your mind will become less active, it will slow down, the muscles in your body will relax, and the blood pressure would naturally reduce. Just part of it. Hypnosis has been used in childbirth, hypnobirthing. Yes, it has. I've had some books on it, and it was interesting, but at the same time, I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to give birth, and I don't think anyone's going to want me to stand there talking to them while they're giving birth. And I don't know. I feel a bit weird being in that situation, because, I suppose they could hold my hand, but how am I supposed to concentrate on doing a hypnosis session when she's screaming, an alien is trying to escape from down there, and she's breaking every bone in my hand? So, it's a bit difficult to try and do a hypnosis session. I think with hypnobirthing, it's about preparation. I don't think the hypnotherapist is there on the actual day or night. Hypnosis can reduce perceived pain intensity. I guess this goes back to what we've already talked about, really, is that any physical sensation can be changed. It can be magnified, it can be reduced, even literally by imagining a volume dial. So if you've got a pleasant sensation in your body, because this isn't just about reducing the unpleasant ones. If you've got a pleasant feeling in your body and you want to increase it, you can imagine a dial, just gently, slowly turning that up. You can figure out what number it is now, between 0 and 10 or 0 and 20, whatever you want it to be, and then just start to turn it up. And as you turn up, you can notice that intensity increasing of comfort, pleasure, or whatever. Another way to do it is to focus on that part of your body. If it's just one part of your body, focus on that, and just to notice how The same way that sometimes pain can be kind of pulsating, pleasure can have the same kind of thing. I remember years ago, it was not that long ago, but I was having problems with my lower back. It was during the winter, and it's at its worst in the winter. But I was walking. I don't know if I had Vinny at that point, but I was going for a walk in the field, and my back felt pleasurable. And what I've noticed sometimes with chronic pain, you can almost get a certain feeling that feels like an internal itch. Not one that needs scratching. So it's not irritable. It's not annoying, but it's a pleasurable feeling. A little bit like how you get underneath your skin when a cut is healed. Or I remember when I had my appendix out, there was the stitches underneath it was itchy, but not enough for me to want to scratch it really. I mean, having the stitches out felt quite nice. And I had this feeling in my back, and the more I focused on it, this pleasant feeling, the more it radiated. And it felt so nice, so pleasant. Well, pleasant isn't a word. It was really, really lovely. I'll tell you what I do sometimes is I close my eyes, I look up. With my eyes closed, I look up, and there's a certain feeling I get of calmness. Like a real sense of relaxation, peace. It's almost like stepping out of myself, but at the same time settling within myself. Which just sounds a bit contradictory, doesn't it? Or you just said contradictory. It's just a sense of comfort. So sometimes by focusing on my eyelids, that definitely gives me a sense of comfort. And we're all different. Maybe there's a part of your body that you can focus on that actually gives you comfort, that makes you feel good, that causes you to feel really relaxed. No matter where you are, what you're doing, perhaps it's just, maybe you don't have to close your eyes to do this. And the more often you focus on that part of your body, expecting yourself to feel more relaxed when you focus on that part of your body, the more relaxed you'll feel when you focus on that part of your body. I won't say that sentence anymore because my left eye is itchy. It's weird. So what's next? People under hypnosis may experience analgesia. Yep. There's a thing called glove anesthesia, which can sometimes used in hypnosis, where there's a few different ways of doing it. I mean, you could put an ice cube onto someone's, let's say someone's the top of their right hand, and the top of their right hand's fine. But then what you can do is leave it on there and then take it off and just get them to focus on that bit of skin. You can do this without an actual ice cube, but you can ask them to imagine an ice cube on their hand and then get that feeling of coldness to spread throughout the hand into the fingers and the palms of the hand, And then you could like raise your hand either like consciously or automatically. Have your hand raise, your arm raise, and then move towards a part of your body where you need to have that analgesia. So for me, it would be my lower back. So I've got no idea how I'd reach that with my hand. I'll probably have to use my foot instead, which is a really silly thing to say. I suppose I could imagine my left buttock. No, because that can't reach my... No, even if I squash it, I still can't reach my lower back. Anyway, it's just one of those things. So you can almost like imagine a glove. Or you can imagine putting a glove on. Like an invisible glove. So it makes the hand invisible, but at the same time also makes all the feelings go. It's like the hand isn't even there anymore. Please don't shout out. We know what invisible means. And then touching a different part of your body, which then causes that part of your body to have the same physical sensations as your hand, which would be none, I guess. Or you could just have the whole body, have it spread to your whole body. Or you could just start off with that part of your body that you want. So hypnosis can affect muscle tension. Yeah. Really can. I mean, if for someone that's never ever really felt relaxed, because some people spend their whole lives, well, it seemed to spend a long time tense, walking around, shoulders, muscles tensed, arms, neck, just everything. And when they let go, if like for the first time possibly in a long time, that feeling of comfort is mind-blowing. I've done relaxation with people in the past, and they said they'd never felt relaxed before. They thought they had felt relaxed until they listened to me talking, and they couldn't believe it, the difference between lying in a bath thinking that they were relaxed, which they probably were, but this was like on a different level. So yeah, hypnosis. Oh yeah, hypnosis often combined with relaxation techniques. Yeah. And there's some hypnotherapists will have an argument saying hypnosis isn't relaxation. You don't need to be relaxed to do hypnosis, which is true. You don't. Yeah, I mean, it's true. Hypnosis can be used with someone who's sitting in a car waiting to be released by the paramedics. You can use hypnosis with someone and they're not relaxed in that situation, but you can do something to help them to disassociate from the situation, which in itself would cause them to feel more relaxed. So there are different techniques that can be used. So someone doesn't have to be all floppy in order for hypnosis to work, and some people don't want that anyway. Some people they might not want to close their eyes, which is fine. Don't have to close your eyes. I just find it easier. I used to like people closing their eyes when I did hypnosis because I didn't want them to see me eating my sandwiches. That's a funny joke. I don't care what anyone says. Hypnosis does not require deep relaxation to work. I've done that, haven't I? Hypnosis can okay, eyes closed or eyes open, yep. Hypnosis can increase suggestibility, not gullibility. Nothing gullible about hypnosis at all. In fact, just the word gullible is very disrespectful, isn't it? Because really, gullible is just another word for trusting. And to say that someone's too trusting means you're saying they're nice. They're a nice person. They trust people. That they're kind. And a gullible person, generally, if they trust other people, they're probably not out deceiving other people. So gullibility is, although it's a negative word and it's a judgmental word, it's actually just another word for someone who is genuinely nice and trusting. And being a trusting person, it's not a bad thing, is it? I mean, it's almost, that's the closest. I mean, that's just nice, being a nice person. It's like, it's nicer than me. I'm not very trusting. Not all the time. But, yeah. Anyway, that's just me going on. So, suggestibility. Hypnosis can increase it can increase suggestibility because, so if you listen to my recordings and if you like what I do, the more you listen, the more benefit you get. And if you listen to, let's say, a relaxation session and you relax, and you listen to another relaxation session that I do and you also relax, you get to the point where the next relaxation session you listen to, you're going to expect me to be relaxing, and you're going to expect yourself to feel deeply relaxed. And that is suggestibility, I suppose. And on top of that, if I start saying other stuff, you're more likely to go along with that. So if I'm sort of mentioning you can relax your shoulders and your arms, your lower back's now feeling more relaxed, and then I talk about perhaps, let's say it's a recording for, I'm trying to think, knee pain, for example, or it's a one for letting go, like I did today. Then I say, oh, now you start to think, as you think about past issues that are no longer relevant, and it's just like you might go along with that because you know so far what you've gone along with has been useful. So it's suggestibility, although it sounds like gullibility sometimes, or it's very suggestible. Ooh. I think suggestibility is earned. And of course, there's always going to be some people that are super suggestible, whatever. And there's always going to be some people that are just, nothing. Nothing will sway them. There's always going to be those people. But it is something I think that's earned. It's a certain amount of trust. Hypnosis cannot make people relieve forgotten memories accurately. It says here. Okay, this is a controversial one because there's been issues and stuff in courts, and it's quite a big subject. I won't go into it, but people remembering wrong memories, stuff that hasn't happened, and false memory syndrome, I think they call it. So yeah, I wouldn't get involved in that side of things at all. But if someone has a memory that they have that they want to work on, then that's something that can be done. But if you're trying to get back a memory that you don't remember, although it doesn't mean in hypnosis, just like in daily life, sometimes I listen to a bit of music, or I'll have a conversation with someone, or I'll be watching a movie, or I'll just be sitting here thinking, and I'll get a memory that I've not thought about in decades. It's probably more likely to happen when I do one of these recordings. If I'm talking about something and then, oh, I remember that. Wow, that was like... In fact, it probably happens every time. I just don't notice it so much because I'm still talking. I don't have time to really observe what I'm saying. Hypnosis is not reliable for memory recall in legal settings. That is true, but used to be. But then they decided it wasn't legit, wasn't reliable enough. Forensic hypnosis is controversial and restricted in many countries. Yep, that's all to do with the same thing, really. Hypnosis has been used in psychotherapy since the 19th century. Well, if it wasn't for hypnosis, there would be no psychotherapy. What do you mean? Did you not know? Hypnosis receded? Anyway, it was before psychotherapy. Who was pretty much the start of psychotherapy? I think most people probably agree, Freud. Now, hypnosis, Sigmund Freud used hypnosis, and he had a partner, like a doctor partner, and basically, I forget his name, but they were both using hypnosis. I think he wasn't the first to use hypnosis, as it's been going on for a long time. The theory is one of his patients jumped up onto his knees and tried to kiss him. So he didn't like hypnosis anymore after that. There's a mix of different things. Is why psychotherapy was kind of created. Psychoanalysis and then other psychotherapies afterwards. His partner said that it was like his medical... I don't know if they were in the same building or whatever. That this person was just talking, and he didn't do any hypnosis with a patient, but talking about it gave her a insight into the issue, and she, probably in his words, was cured of that particular ailment. So between the two of them, I think they came up with the idea of, well, I don't like doing hypnosis anyway. It takes ages. There's rumours that Sigmund Freud had trouble because he had a really bad jaw for decades. So he had dentures, and I think there were problems hurt him, and it was difficult to people to understand him, and there's that. I don't know how much of that is true, and he decided after what his colleague said that to explore this new way. So maybe you can reach and explore the unconscious mind without hypnosis. And that's where psychotherapy or psychoanalysis came in. And then other psychotherapies came in as well after that, and logotherapy, and just so many different ones, and Jung, and you had counselling, or like person-centered counselling with Carl Rogers, and all that stuff. So, and that all came around basically based, I mean, hypnosis, that's where it started. So if it wasn't for hypnosis, there'd be no psychotherapy. There'd be no counselling. So, it doesn't get the credit. Hypnosis doesn't. Hypnosis can change subjective experience without changing reality. I mean, yeah, it's all about subjective experience, isn't it? I can imagine that if there's someone in the garden shouting and playing or whatever, just being noisy, I can imagine that the volume's being turned down, and there's like a greenhouse on top of them. Not on top of them as in like the Wicked Witch of Oz, the Wicked Witch of Oz. I don't mean on top like crushed, but I mean, so they could play around and inside it, but not so much noisy. I can perhaps imagine that in my mind, which changes my subjective experience of that sound. But if I look out the window, there's not going to be a big greenhouse in the garden. Why are they saying that, though? I added the greenhouse bit. Hypnosis can reduce nausea in some patients. Yep, it can. It can change any physical sensation. Can potentially be reduced, increased, changed, replaced, improved, whatever. Hypnosis is often described as a state of absorbed attention. It can be that as well. Not everybody drifts. Some people do just focus on one thing. I'm a little bit of a drifter. I'm a drifter. But I also believe the unconscious mind can just get on with it. So I can drift off and let my unconscious mind do what it needs to do. If you want, okay, here's some other things. These are a list of more humorous things. People under hypnosis can laugh uncontrollably even while fully aware of everything happening. I mean, we can all do that, can't we, even when we're not hypnotized? It's I think that's more like stage hypnosis, probably. Hypnotized people often argue with the hypnotist and win against. That would be stage stuff. Hypnosis works even when people don't believe in hypnosis. That's an interesting one, because I've had that where people have said, no, I think this is all just rubbish. I mean, my question is, why are you here then? It's a valid question. Because I've tried everything else. That is another thing. No one, I say no one, but pretty much no one would go to a hypnotherapist first. No one's going to listen to a hypnosis audio first before anything else. It's one of the last things people seem to do. They'll go like, nothing works, and they keep saying to themselves, nothing works, which means there's more chance that what they do isn't going to work, because that's their mindset. But it can sometimes just feel like it's the last resort, and it's amazing to see someone's face afterwards when they realise that, oh, what happened? I can't believe. And especially if it's something like a phobia and they haven't got it anymore. It's like, what? or when I did the chronic pain relief, the very first thing everybody did was try and find the pain, try to get it back. And I'm like, why are you trying to get it back? I mean, I had someone, he had pain in his hand, and he was literally, he went to the window and started jamming the window sill on the window down onto his hand to try and get. No, he didn't. That was ridiculous. What I think a weird visual. But it's like, can't you just enjoy feeling relaxed and peaceful? Oh well. Some people refuse suggestions under hypnosis because they don't like the tone. Yeah, that's fair enough though. If that's a good thing about the audios, you can listen to the tone of voice of the person. Although my voice is getting crackly now because I've been talking for too long. But if you don't like the accent or the voice, maybe you prefer to listen to a man or listen to a woman or listen to someone young or sounded older, someone with a different accent. You know, so everyone's got their preference, haven't they? So some people will just like have a choice about that. Well, this is weird. You cannot get stuck in hypnosis. People come out naturally, even if the hypnotist stops talking. Yeah, that will happen eventually. Some people refuse suggestions under hypnosis because, okay, I've done that one. Hypnotized subjects can open their eyes, stretch and scratch an itch, then go right back into trance. Yeah, I saw someone once, they hugged themselves. Yeah, I had one person, he actually went off, got a Big Mac, came back, ate it, all in trance, and that didn't happen. Why am I telling you lies? Hypnosis has been successfully used on dentists who hate dentists. On what? Hypnosis has been successfully used on dentists who hate dentists. That's funny. So dentist who doesn't like going to a dentist has been used hypnosis. So that is quite funny. People under hypnosis can experience real physical sensations, including itching where there is nothing itching. Well, a good example of the physical sensations, I mean, bearing in mind that people can have that without hypnosis. What do you call it? Phantom limb pains, one of those things. The limb's not there anymore, but they can feel the limb. So I had this person, I think it's 2007. Instead of saying your leg's not there anymore, which is a pretty disrespectful thing to say to someone, no matter how you say it, they know that. You don't need to be reminded of that. You know, but it's not there. Yeah, they know that. So what I did is I did a relaxation session which included both legs. And what I did is, because I got him to explain to me how the leg felt that wasn't there anymore, and I sorted it out. I relaxed it and I manipulated it back to the right way that it should be. So it's exactly the same as the other leg. Felt just as relaxed, just as peaceful, calm and straight. And I left it like that. And he couldn't believe it. He came back 2 weeks later. What 2 weeks in a row? The next week and then the next week. And he said, it's fine, still fine. I don't need any more help, it's fine. And he sent me a letter about 2 months later saying it's still fine. I hope everything's fine. I mean, after 2 months, imagine that would be it, wouldn't it? So, it's like, wow. So, joining the person in their world, and believing what they're saying. So instead of saying, oh, you haven't got a leg, let's focus on the leg that they're feeling, relaxing that and straightening it out. As they're having it all bent over like it was. Straighten it out, relax it. The same as the rest of the body's relaxed. And that did the trick. Hypnosis doesn't make people honest. It can actually make them more imaginative liars. I've got no idea where they're going with that. Hypnosis has been used, just because I'm a liar maybe, hypnosis has been used in surgery where patients reported no pain but extreme boredom. That's probably what people would get if they listen to me during an operation. Like, can you hurry up with the operation? What, is it hurting? No, but this bloke talking in my ear holes, boring me. Hypnotised people sometimes forget their name and then argue it was never relevant anyway. That'd be like stage hypnosis doing that. You wouldn't, if you went into a hypnotherapist's office, they wouldn't play with you like that. And sometimes hypnosis works on people who are busy overthinkers. Oh, cool. I mean, I suppose things work faster on someone that has a faster brain, potentially. I mean, faster, just overthinking. I suppose it can someone that's an overthinker, maybe catching them, interrupting their pattern, and then lead them in a different direction. Could be a way. Perhaps what they're talking about. Some people become deeply hypnotized while saying this isn't working at all. Hypnosis can distort time so badly that 5 minutes feels like hours, or the other way around. Yep. Stage hypnotists reject more volunteers than they accept. Hypnosis is not about control but responsiveness. Yeah, I talked about that earlier, didn't I? Hypnotized people can ignore loud noises, including farts. No, not farts, fire alarms, if correctly suggested. Well, you don't really want to ignore a fire alarm, do you? Why would you want to ignore what? Maybe a car alarm if it's your neighbour's car. Blimey. What kind of hypnotherapist would get someone to ignore a fire alarm? Blimey, that's weird. Hypnosis was once used as anesthesia before modern painkillers existed. Yep. People under hypnosis can carry on full conversations while remaining in deep trance. They can. It doesn't mean they're going to remember the conversation, because they're perhaps not using their conscious mind. So it's not the same thing necessarily. Hypnosis can make people genuinely believe their arm is floating and then complain it's getting tired. Yeah. Some people report feeling more awake after hypnosis than before. Hypnosis, well, it's a sense, it's rest, isn't it? If you've got your eyes closed, just having your eyes closed for 10-20 minutes is restful, I find. Unless you're on the back of a motorbike going really fast, then maybe it's not so restful. Hypnosis, if you're in the front of the motorbike, then really not. Hypnosis cannot force people to do illegal things, rude things, or embarrassing things they truly object to. Well, I don't know why anyone would try that anyway, so Hypnosis has been shown to change how the brain processes pain, not just how people talk about it. Yep. That's why it's so powerful. Hypnosis sessions sometimes fail because the person is trying too hard. I think that's where relaxation comes in. It's about letting it happen naturally, I think. Hypnosis can be effective even if the person doesn't remember the session afterwards. Yep. Hypnosis research shows that expectation is more important than relaxation. Yeah. I mean, you could say that with so many different aspects of life. Expectation is powerful. Hypnosis has been studied using MRI machines, proving people weren't making it up. And some people hypnotize themselves accidentally while daydreaming. Yeah, I reckon it happens a lot. Hypnosis is often described by researchers as paying attention on purpose. Oh. Let's see if there's any more. I think that's about it. Yeah. Oh, it did a big thing. So it can be helped to manage. It can reduce test anxieties. Hypnosis does not require silence. I've been trying to say that for years. Hypnosis. Okay. There's a lot of things. Some of this is kind of not necessarily true. Not the ones I've said, but some of the stuff I'm not reading. Okay. Hypnosis can happen while feeling distracted. Isn't it weird that Vinny knows that I'm bringing this recording to an end? Because he's now staring at me. So that is the end of Trivia Tuesday. So thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself because you deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. Lots of love. Bye.